Welcome aspiring data scientists and welcome future Python programmers. Today we have an interesting view into visualization tools of Python and especially the library or the open library Matplotlib, which helps us to visualize our data. The learning goals for this class today is working with Matplotlib, and then we develop different graphs, for example, the line diagram, the scatter plot, the histogram, and then we also go shortly into how we can define the title, the X label or the Y label, and also how we can define the ticks on a chart or the scaling of a chart. So overall, Matplotlib is an open library for data visualizations. It provides many different plot types and customizations, and overall it's a very great tool to explore data and also to report your insight or conclusion. And again, because it is an open library, we can easily import it by using import matplotlib.byplot, and then we give it our name as PLT. So every time we write PLT, Python knows that we want to access the library of Matplotlib. And here on the right-hand side, you can already see what different things you could do with a chart. We don't learn everything today, but as you know, you can look up many other things later on. So first of all, why do we need data visualization? In short, there are two ways or two goals of data visualization. First is to explore data. The second is to present data. Imagine in the beginning, we don't always know what we are looking for and we are actually not sure how our data is connected. So in the beginning, it's maybe useful to make a bunch of graphs and just to visualize your data so that you get the story behind your data and you can connect the dots, let's say. And if you have received already a conclusion or made up your own conclusion of your data, then you can go into the step of really presenting the data so you can get a point across, and you can convince someone else that because data A and data B show that, we should do Y. So the data which we use for our visualization today is a list of female ministers as a percent of total ministers. The list we chose is from the OECD countries, so the developed countries on our Earth, and the specific list we choose for is Canada. And the data points we have is 2015, 2012, 2005, and 2017. So if we want to create a line diagram out of that, we first have obviously to import Matplotlib. After that, we have to define the two data points that we want to have. And we do this here by creating two lists. The first one stores our years, so 2005 until 2007. And the second list stores our data points, or in that case, the percentage of female ministers. Then we call our plt.plot method to actually plot our graph. And our two variables that we put in for the x axis and the y axis is one time our years list and one time our can underscore per underscore fm list. So the amount of female ministers in percentage. So you can see that this will be plotted over here and this will be plotted over here. And because we call plt.show in the end, this whole graph will actually be plotted. So to recap, first we have to import Matplotlib, then we have to define the x, the list for x, the x-axis, then the list for the y-axis, and in the end we have to call the plt.plot to plot it actually, and we have to call plt.show to also show the graph. And the content of our plot are the two variables years and can underscore per underscore fm. So to get the logic again, behind our chart, we have here our two variable names that provides us with the values. And the first data point will be this one. The second data point will be this one. And obviously you can also connect them here to our chart. So really, Matplotlib is very easy to make simple visual graphics. The scatter plot is the same approach as before. First, we have our two variables defined over here, or lists. The only big difference is now that we call for a scatter plot rather than a normal plot. So we have to write after plt dot scatter. Then we call plt show, and our graphic will be shown again. The histogram is a little bit different than the other two graphics. Here we only have one variable that we define, and that is the percentage of female ministers. And then we plot by using .hist, and we only include our first list, and the bins we define by 5, and you can also customize that if you want to. But here in our example, we have 5 different bins. So that is why we call bins equals 5. If we would have used bins equals 10, we would have had 10 bins. So how can we add the title and labels to our diagram? It's quite easy. First you do the normal steps, and then after the plt.plot, so before you actually show the graph, you have to define them. And you always do that by first calling plt dot to access Matplotlib, and then you first call for the X label, then the Y label, and then the title, and you always include those things into normal brackets, and you use quotes. And you can also see here that it's easily visualized on our graph and makes the whole thing looking much more professional. In the end, we can also use ticks, and ticks is nothing else than, let's say, the scaling of our X or Y axes. So here in our example, we have our normal line chart. In this case, we also add the X, Y label and the title, but this time we actually want to change the scaling of our Y axis. And we do this first by defining our scaling. So we want to start at 20 and finish at 50. And after that, we actually define what is presented on the chart. So the first one is the actual content, and the second one is how it looks on the chart. So in the end, you can see we have here now a new chart which has the same data, just the visualization or the scaling of it is different. And that is why ticks can become quite useful if you really want to make a nice chart that really tells a story. So the learning goals that we have achieved for Matplotlib is working with Matplotlib. We did the line diagram, the scatter plot, and the histogram. And then also we learned how we can add title, X label, Y label, and how we can change the scaling of a graph by applying ticks to our chart. And there are also many other different use cases with Matplotlib, but you can also look them up yourself in the internet. Congratulations, you have finished another video of our online course. We really hope that you do the Jupyter assignment of Matplotlib, and we're looking forward to see you in the next video. Goodbye.